The day the sky turned silent. The morning started like any other on the trading station Meridian Falls. Captain Elena Vasquez stood at the observation deck, watching 3 cargo haulers dock with practiced precision. The station hummed with the usual sounds of commerce. Traders from a dozen different species shouted prices in their native languages while translation devices chirped constantly. The smell of exotic foods mixed with the sharp scent of ozone from the docking bays. Elena had commanded this station for 8 years. She knew every corridor and every merchant by name. The station sat at the intersection of 5 major trade routes, making it one of the busiest commercial hubs in this sector. On a typical day, over 5,000 beings passed through Meridian Falls, buying and selling everything from rare minerals to ancient artifacts. Today felt different somehow. Elena could not explain the feeling, but something in the air seemed wrong. The usually cheerful Quellan merchants seemed nervous. The Brevix pilots who normally spent hours gossiping in the station cafeteria had left early. Even the automated systems seemed to hesitate before completing their tasks. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, approached with a data pad in hand. His face showed concern. Marcus had served with Elena since the station opened. He was a good officer who never worried without reason. "Captain, we have a problem," Marcus said quietly. "Long-range sensors are picking up something strange. Multiple ships moving in formation toward our sector. The computer cannot identify their origin." Elena took the data pad and studied the readings. 47 vessels traveling together in perfect military formation. Their energy signatures did not match any known species in the galactic database. The ships were large, heavily armed, and moving fast. "How long until they reach us?" Elena asked. 6 hours at current speed, Marcus replied. "Should I send out a general alert?" Elena considered the options. A false alarm would cause panic and hurt business. But ignoring a potential threat could be deadly. She had learned long ago that caution kept people alive. Send a priority message to all docked vessels. Tell them we have detected unknown ships approaching and recommend they leave within the hour. Make it sound routine, not urgent. I do not want a stampede. Marcus nodded and hurried away to send the message. Elena watched the sensor readings again. The unknown ships maintained their formation without deviation. Military discipline, she thought. This was not a random group of pirates or explorers. Within 30 minutes, the station began to empty. Experienced traders knew when to trust their instincts. The Quellan merchants packed their goods quickly. The Brevix pilots launched their ships without waiting for full cargo loads. Even the station residents who lived here permanently started talking about visiting relatives on other worlds. Elena called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. 15 officers gathered in the command center, their faces showing various degrees of worry. Some were human like Elena and Marcus. Others belonged to the 7 alien species who served on Meridian Falls. "We have approximately 5 hours before unknown vessels reach our position," Elena began. "I want all weapon systems checked and ready. All civilians should be encouraged to evacuate. Essential personnel only will remain on station. Questions?" Commander Thex, the station's Quellan security chief, raised one of his 4 arms. "Captain, our weapons are designed to handle pirates and smugglers. If this is a military force, we cannot defend against 47 warships." "I know," Elena admitted. "But we will not abandon this station without trying to protect it. Meridian Falls represents 8 years of work and billions of credits in investment. More importantly, this station belongs to 16 different species working together. We do not give up our shared home just because someone shows up with big guns." The officers looked at each other. Elena could see them making calculations in their heads. Stay and possibly die, or leave and definitely lose everything they had built here. "I will not order anyone to stay," Elena continued. "This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to leave has my permission and my respect. No judgment, no consequences. But I am staying, and I could use some help. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Marcus stepped forward. I am staying, Captain. Commander Thex clicked his mandibles in what his species used as a smile. My people built half of this station. I am staying too. One by one, all 15 officers volunteered to remain. Elena felt pride mixed with fear. These people trusted her enough to risk their lives. She would do everything possible to keep them alive. The next 4 hours passed in controlled chaos. Civilians evacuated on every available ship. Station personnel ran constant drills on the defense systems. Engineers reinforced the shield generators. Medical staff prepared emergency facilities for casualties. Elena spent the time reviewing everything the sensors could tell her about the approaching fleet. The ships used an unusual propulsion system that left strange energy traces. Their hull composition absorbed most scanning attempts, making detailed analysis impossible. Whoever built these vessels understood advanced technology. With 1 hour remaining, only 42 people stayed on Meridian Falls. The massive station that normally housed 5,000 beings now felt empty and haunted. The shops stood dark. The restaurants had closed their doors. Even the environmental system seemed to whisper more quietly than usual. Elena stood alone on the observation deck, watching the stars. In the distance, she could now see the approaching fleet with her own eyes. They appeared as tiny points of light moving in perfect unison. Beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Marcus joined her at the window. All systems ready, Captain. We have done everything we can. Do you remember why we built this station? Elena asked softly. To prove that different species could work together for mutual benefit, Marcus replied. To show that trade and cooperation mattered more than old prejudices and fears. Right. And now someone is coming to take it away from us. They stood in silence, watching the fleet grow larger. Elena thought about all the species who had called Meridian Falls home over the years. Humans, Quellans, Breviks, Taurians, Selvons, Kree, Pax, and so many others. They had argued and competed and occasionally fought. But they had also learned to trust each other, to build something greater than any single species could create alone. The fleet arrived precisely on schedule. 47 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation surrounding the station. Each vessel was at least twice the size of Meridian Falls. Their hulls gleamed with dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Weapons ports covered every surface. Elena returned to the command center where her crew waited at their stations. The main view screen showed the fleet in all its menacing glory. Nobody spoke. The silence felt heavy enough to crush. Then a transmission came through. The view screen changed to show a face that Elena had never seen before. The being was humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin had a metallic blue sheen. Its eyes were solid black without visible pupils. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. I am Executor Ven of the Zalfari Collective. This station now belongs to us. All personnel will evacuate immediately. You have 10 minutes to comply. Elena stepped forward. I am Captain Elena Vasquez, Commanding Officer of Meridian Falls. This station is neutral territory, protected by 16 different species under the Concordance Treaty. You have no legal claim here. Executor Ven's expression did not change. Legal claims interest me not at all. We take what we need. Your species has no reputation in our files. You cannot matter. Leave now or be removed by force. Something about those words made Elena's blood boil. Your species has no reputation. You cannot matter. She had heard similar statements before from various species who thought humanity was too young or too weak or too insignificant to deserve respect. We built this station together, Elena said firmly. 16 species working as equals. We will not abandon it because you make threats. Then you will die, Ven replied simply. Your choice seems unwise. We have 47 warships. You have one aging commercial station with minimal weapons. Mathematics shows your defeat. Maybe, Elena admitted. But before you attack, you should know something about humans. We are very stubborn. We do not surrender things we have built just because someone bigger shows up. And we have a reputation for surprising people who underestimate us. Ven seemed amused. Empty words from a species without power. I give you 5 more minutes. Then we open fire. The transmission ended. Elena turned to her crew. Every face showed determination mixed with fear. They knew the odds. They stayed anyway. All right people, Elena said calmly. We are going to make these Zalthari regret picking a fight with Meridian Falls. Marcus, send out an emergency broadcast on all frequencies. Tell everyone what is happening here. If we are going down, the whole galaxy is going to know about it. Message sent, Captain, Marcus confirmed after a moment. Thex, prepare to fire all weapons on my command. Target their flagship first. Let us see if we can knock out their commander. Weapons ready, Captain, Thex replied. Elena watched the countdown timer. 3 minutes remaining. 2 minutes. 1 minute. Then something impossible happened. When humans answer the call. The space around Meridian Falls erupted with light. Not from weapons fire, but from hundreds of new ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They appeared in an instant, surrounding both the station and the Zalthari fleet. Elena stared at the view screen in disbelief. The new arrivals were human ships. Not the commercial vessels and small patrol craft that humanity normally operated. These were warships. Real military vessels bristling with weapons and armor. Elena counted over 300 ships of various sizes. Some were massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed even the Zalthari vessels. Others were sleek destroyers and fast attack cruisers. Where did they come from? Marcus whispered. Humanity does not have a fleet like this. We are merchants and explorers, not warriors. Elena had no answer. Humanity had spent the last century building peaceful relationships with other species. They had deliberately avoided creating a large military, fearing it would make others suspicious of their intentions. Yet here was a fleet that must have taken decades to build in complete secrecy. A new transmission came through. The face on the view screen belonged to an older human woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She wore a uniform Elena did not recognize. Black fabric with silver insignias that showed stars and earth in the design. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Defense Fleet. Meridian Falls, you are under our protection. Zalthari vessels, you will power down your weapons and retreat immediately. Executor Ven appeared on a split screen beside Admiral Chen. His metallic blue skin seemed darker now. You deceived us. Humans claim to have no military force. We said we preferred peaceful solutions, Admiral Chen corrected. We never said we were helpless. You threatened one of our stations. That was a mistake. 300 ships against 47, Ven calculated. Even you cannot think this is fair odds. Fair. Admiral Chen's expression hardened. You gave Captain Vasquez 10 minutes to abandon everything she built. You threatened to kill 42 people for the crime of defending their home. Do not lecture me about fairness. Ven was silent for a moment. Elena could almost see him reconsidering his options. Perhaps we can negotiate. The Zalthari Collective is willing to discuss terms. No, Admiral Chen said flatly. There will be no negotiation. You came here with threats and weapons. You tried to take what was not yours. Now you will face the consequences. You cannot destroy us all, Ven warned. Our ships are heavily armed. Many of your vessels will be damaged or destroyed in a battle. Is one station worth that cost? Elena expected Admiral Chen to hesitate. 300 ships sounded like a lot, but the Zalthari vessels were huge and clearly designed for combat. A battle would be devastating for both sides. Instead, Admiral Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Executor Ven, you have spent your entire life thinking that size and weapons determine victory. Let me teach you something about humanity. We have been fighting wars since before we could walk upright. We have studied every battle in our history and learned from every defeat. We know things about combat that your species has never imagined. Threats do not frighten us, Ven replied. Not a threat. A promise. Admiral Chen gestured to someone off-screen. All ships, execute Protocol Thunderstrike. What happened next would be discussed in military academies for generations. The human fleet moved with precision that seemed impossible for so many vessels. They had clearly practiced this maneuver countless times. The massive dreadnoughts formed a protective shell around Meridian Falls. Their shields linked together, creating an energy barrier that could have protected an entire planet. At the same time, hundreds of smaller ships scattered in seemingly random directions. The Zalthari fleet tried to respond, but they were already too late. The human destroyers and cruisers moved faster than anything their size should have been able to travel. They darted between the Zalthari warships, placing themselves in positions where the larger vessels could not fire without hitting their own allies. Then the human ships attacked. But they did not use conventional weapons. Instead, they fired specialized missiles that released powerful electromagnetic pulses. The pulses did not destroy the Zalthari ships. They simply shut down every electronic system on board. In less than 50 seconds, 47 Zalthari warships became floating pieces of metal. Their weapons were offline. Their shields were gone. Their engines were dead. The crews were probably safe inside, but their ships were completely helpless. Elena watched in stunned silence. The entire battle had lasted less than 1 minute. The human fleet had neutralized a force that should have destroyed Meridian Falls without firing a single shot that caused casualties. Admiral Chen reappeared on the view screen. She was speaking to Executor Ven again. Your crews are safe. We have not killed anyone. In approximately 6 hours, your systems will reboot automatically. When they do, you will immediately return to Zalthari space. You will not threaten any neutral stations again. You will not attempt revenge. If you do, next time we will not be so gentle. Do you understand? Ven's face showed emotions Elena could not identify. Shock, certainly. Anger. But also something that might have been respect. How did you disable our ships so quickly? Our systems have multiple redundancies and backups. We have been studying every species we meet for 100 years, Admiral Chen explained. We trade with you. We learn your languages. We eat your food. And yes, we analyze your technology. We know the weaknesses in your shield generators. We understand the vulnerabilities in your computer networks. We have contingency plans for dealing with every major military force in this sector. You are more dangerous than you pretend, Ven said slowly. We prefer being merchants and explorers, Admiral Chen agreed. But we remember that the galaxy is not always a safe place. So we prepare. We build ships in secret. We train crews in hidden facilities. We watch and we learn. And when someone threatens our people, we respond with overwhelming force. Elena found her voice. Admiral Chen, permission to speak? Granted, Captain Vasquez. Where did this fleet come from? How long have you been building it? Admiral Chen smiled, this time with genuine warmth. We started construction 70 years ago, right after humanity joined the galactic community. Some of our leaders worried that being friendly and peaceful would make us seem weak. They convinced the government to build a defense fleet in secret. Most humans do not even know these ships exist. 70 years of preparation for a threat that might never come, Elena said with wonder. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, Admiral Chen quoted. An old human saying. We built this fleet hoping we would never need it. Today we learned the investment was worthwhile. Marcus stepped forward. Admiral, the Zalthari Collective controls dozens of systems. They have hundreds more ships. Will they not seek revenge? Possibly, Admiral Chen admitted. But they will also remember what happened here. They came to take one station with 47 ships and lost in 50 seconds. Next time they will think twice before threatening humanity or our allies. The following hours passed in a blur. The human fleet maintained position around the disabled Zalthari ships. Small shuttles went back and forth between vessels, delivering food and supplies to the helpless crews. Even in victory, humanity showed compassion. Elena worked with Admiral Chen to coordinate the response. Messages went out to all 16 species who had invested in Meridian Falls. Each received a detailed report of what had happened and assurances that the station remained secure. The responses came back quickly. The Quellan Council sent thanks for protecting their merchants. The Brevik Senate offered to increase their trade with humanity. Even species that had maintained only minimal contact with humans sent messages expressing appreciation. Captain Vasquez stood on the observation deck once more, watching the human fleet. Marcus joined her again as he had during the crisis. I cannot believe what I saw today, Marcus said quietly. In 50 seconds, 300 human ships defeated 47 Zalthari warships without causing a single casualty. It seemed impossible. Humanity has always been good at the impossible, Elena replied. We climbed out of caves and built cities. We split the atom and walked on our moon. We left our solar system and made friends with species that evolved on distant worlds. We do impossible things because we refuse to accept limitations. The other species are going to see us differently now, Marcus observed. They thought we were harmless traitors. Now they know we have teeth. Elena nodded. That is the burden humanity chose when we built this fleet in secret. We wanted to be friends to everyone. But we also needed to be strong enough to protect ourselves and our allies. Today we proved we can do both. 6 hours after the battle, the Zalthari systems began rebooting as promised. Executor Ven sent one final message before his fleet departed. Humanity has earned our respect through strength. The Zalthari Collective will not forget this day. The 47 warships turned and jumped to faster-than-light travel. They disappeared as suddenly as they had arrived. The human fleet remained in position for another day, ensuring no other threats emerged. Admiral Chen came aboard Meridian Falls to meet Elena in person. The two officers shook hands in the station's command center while the remaining crew watched. You did well, Captain, Admiral Chen said. You held your position when you were outnumbered and outgunned. You protected your crew and your station. Humanity is proud of you. Thank you, Admiral. But I have to ask. What happens now? Will this fleet remain hidden or will humanity reveal its military strength to the galaxy? Admiral Chen considered the question carefully. That decision is above my rank. But I suspect the secret is already spreading. Every species with long-range sensors detected this fleet arriving. Within days, everyone will know that humanity built a massive military force without telling anyone. Will that not damage our reputation as peaceful traders? Perhaps, Admiral Chen admitted. Or perhaps it will make others respect our desire for peace even more. We had this strength for 70 years and never used it for conquest. We only revealed it to protect our friends. That should tell the galaxy everything they need to know about human intentions. The Admiral left the next day. The human fleet dispersed gradually, ships returning to their hidden bases throughout human-controlled space. Within a week, Meridian Falls returned to normal operations. Merchants came back. The shops reopened. Life continued as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Elena noticed it in small ways. The Quellan traders smiled more warmly at human customers. The Brevix pilots asked human crew members for advice on ship modifications. Even species that had barely acknowledged humanity before now sought human opinions on trade disputes and security matters. Humanity had proven something important. They were not just friendly merchants who smiled and made deals. They were also protectors who would fight when necessary to defend what they had built. Elena stood at the observation deck one final time before going off duty. She thought about the 42 people who had volunteered to stay and defend the station. She thought about Admiral Chen and the 300 ships that had appeared in humanity's darkest moment. Most of all, she thought about the message this day had sent to every species in the galaxy. Humans were patient. Humans were peaceful. Humans preferred cooperation over conflict. But humans also remembered that the universe could be dangerous. They prepared for threats while hoping those threats would never come. And when someone tried to take what humans had built, they responded with strength that could not be ignored. Meridian Falls continued its mission as a place where different species worked together. But now everyone knew that this cooperation was protected by something more than good intentions. It was protected by people like Elena who refused to abandon their homes. It was protected by Admiral Chen and her fleet who spent decades preparing for a crisis. Most importantly, it was protected by humanity's commitment to defending not just their own interests, but the interests of everyone who chose to work beside them. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans could be your best friends or your worst enemies. The choice was yours to make. Choose friendship, and humanity would help you build a better future. Choose conflict, and you would face the consequences in 50 seconds or less. Elena smiled and headed home to rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities. But tonight, she could sleep well knowing that Meridian Falls was safe, and humanity had proven once again that they belonged among the stars.